It always starts the same way with the wind. Rushing past the frame, climbing softly over hills, or screaming through canyon walls. Then comes the silence. And somewhere in the background, lone figure, standing, waiting, measured, calm. Then, running, leaping, falling and, for a heart-splitting second. You forget it's a movie. You forget he's an actor. Because Tom Cruise never made us believe in characters. He made us believe in moments. And somewhere buried deep in one of those moments, the line between fear and fame nearly disappeared forever. This is the story of a single stunt. One decision, one fall, and the near-death moment that could have changed everything on the set of Mission Impossible. And it's not just about broken bones or helicopters or cables. It's about silence, pain, and the never-talked-about cost of how far someone will go to make us feel alive. Tom Cruise has jumped from towers, flown jets, held onto cargo planes mid-takeoff, and clung to motorcycles with nothing but skin, wire, and willpower. He's turned danger into an art form, wrapped it in box office gold, and left audiences breathless for decades. But there was one moment, carefully buried until recently, that wasn't part of the script. A moment where everything they planned went wrong and Tom nearly didn't walk away. It happened while filming one of the most jaw-dropping set pieces in Mission Impossible Fallout: The Rooftop Chase over London. The kind where characters leap from building to building like gods defying gravity. Except this time, the god wasn't acting. Because the pain was real, and for a split second, the world slowed down enough for a man to wonder if this was the last stunt he'd ever do. Years later, sitting quietly in a dimly lit interview chair, no sunglasses, no smirk, no crowd to perform for, Tom Cruise finally told the full story. Not as a movie star, but as a man who nearly lost part of himself for a single frame of film. I knew it the second I hit the wall, he said softly. The scene was straightforward on paper. Tom, as Ethan Hunt sprints full speed across a rooftop ahead of his enemies, reaches the edge and leaps to the adjacent building, catching the ledge just in time to pull himself up and escape. They rehearsed it carefully. The gap was measured, the safety crews in place. But something invisible crept into that moment. A sudden gust of headwind. A fraction too early or too late. And when he leapt, he didn't reach the mark. Instead, he slammed full force into the side of the building, not the safe kind of slam. It's a kind you feel in your chest even when watching from your couch. It's a kind of impact that silences a set, and even worse. He kept going. Footage from that day shows the moment in brutal clarity. After hitting the wall, Tom pulls himself up, limps forward, and finishes the shot. One leg dragging, pain clearly etched into his face. But he never breaks character. The camera keeps rolling as he disappears out of frame. No one yells, "Cut." No one moves. "We thought he was acting," one crew member whispered in an interview. Turns out he wasn't. Tom had shattered his ankle, not sprained, not bruised. Shattered, and yet he stayed in character. Limped across frame and completed the take. Because in his mind, if he could just buy the editors another second of usable footage, maybe the pain would be worth it. You might wonder why. Not stop? Why risk so much for a shot? But with Tom, the question has always been backward. Why stop? When you can prove something to yourself no one else expects. It's the same reason he flies his own helicopters, climbs his own cliffs, and runs until his lungs burn holes through his ribs. It's not just about realism. It's about legacy. It's about fascination. About becoming more than an actor and shifting into myth. But what happens when the myth bleeds? When the legend limps. And when the man behind it is left silent, sitting on the edge of a trailer lot, staring down at a foot that no longer feels like part of his body. That day, production shut down. The crew watched as Tom was quietly taken away, not with drama, not with security swarming, but with a strange, solemn kind of reverence. There's something chilling about witnessing a real-life superhero breaking right in front of you. He wasn't just acting anymore. He was human, fragile, mortal. They told him recovery would take months. They expected surgery, rehabilitation, special effects to mask the damage. But Tom had a different idea. He wanted to finish the film quickly. Just 6 weeks later, Denst. Doctor recommendations against studio pressure. Tom was back on set, still limping, still in pain. But back because there was a scene left unfinished, a story still suspended, an audience still waiting to feel the adrenaline. And for Tom Cruise, that audience has always mattered just a bit more than his own safety. He once told a producer, "If the audience knows I'm really doing it, even just for a second, they'll believe in anything." Belief. He was chasing belief. But belief is a dangerous thing to give too much of. If a man is told he's a legend long enough, he starts to believe he's untouchable. And that illusion can haunt you, especially when you realize your body carries every scar, even if your name doesn't. Tom Cruise is 61 now. He doesn't flinch. But he feels it. More than he lets on. He still runs like time is chasing him. Still flies like he's outpacing regret. But after that rooftop fall, something changed behind his eyes. Maybe it was fear. Maybe humility. Or maybe just a quiet realization that even the biggest legends don't get to defy gravity forever. After that injury, something shifted, not just in Tom Cruise's body, but in his mindset. He came back to set limping, determined to finish what he started, even if every step sent pain through his ankle. The crew watched in awe, knowing he was pushing through something most actors would have sat out. But behind the determination was something deeper. This wasn't just about being tough or impressing fans, it was about proving something to himself. For decades, Tom has been carrying the weight of being the never-fail guy, the action hero who doesn't age, doesn't complain, and doesn't back down. But now, the pain stayed with him. The healing didn't happen overnight. And for the first time, even he had to admit he might not be invincible. Yet instead of pulling back, he doubled down. He went on to film scenes hanging off helicopters, riding motorcycles off cliffs, and doing even more impossible stunts. But those close to him say this moment was different. That fall on the rooftop didn't just break his ankle, it cracked the shell he had built around himself. It was a reminder that the thing he's been running from, getting old, getting hurt, being human, is catching up faster than any stunt. And still, he chooses to run into the fire, into the chaos, into the next jaw-dropping scene. Because that's who Tom Cruise is. Not just an actor. Not just a daredevil. But a man who refuses to let fear decide how his story ends. This injury didn't stop him, but it made him honest, more aware. And maybe that's why fans love him even more now. Not because he flies through explosions, but because we know, beneath it all, he's still standing, still hurting, and still giving everything he has, just so we can believe in something bigger than ourselves, even if only for 2 hours in a dark theater.